Hello there. I'm Scotty. You're not. Apparently, today, the Tuesday, the 18th of April, is Rick Moranis' 70th birthday. And I was encouraged, I should say, by Big LT to do a theme week for him. Well, if I knew it was coming up, I probably could do that. But I thought about, I could do it next week, right? I can record this week and have it ready for next week. Then I looked at some of the Rick Moranis movies I have left, and I'm just like, there's not really any big ones. I have movies like Big Bully, My Blue Heaven, stuff that I don't think were like big ones. I've done all of his big ones, Ghostbusters, Strange Brew, and the one I'm revisiting today, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. But not just that. I'm doing all three Honey, I Shrunk the Kids movies. I had planned to actually do the two sequels for December this year, but hey, why not just go ahead and get it out of the way? Why not just do it, eh? It's his 70th birthday. I might as well. I didn't know he was that old. 1953, I guess. 70. So anyways. Yes. I am going back to give a revisit review of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, which I did in December for 2020. I think that was the first December, if I remember correctly, because I didn't do one in 2021. And there was December. I don't think I did one in 2019. I think I was still deciding. I think in December of 2019, I did Nightmare on Elm Street movies. Christmas stuff, I think. I did Christmas stuff. I don't think I did Disney at that point. Maybe. I don't know. I know 2021 I didn't do any December stuff because I was going to do DC December and it didn't work. So, about 2.5 years ago, I reviewed this for December. I thought I did this for the very first birth month, but I guess not. It was here. So we are talking about the original Honey, I Shrunk the Kids from 1989, directed by Joe Johnston, who would give us The Rocketeer, an underrated Disney film, as well as Jumanji, Captain America the Winter Soldier, Jurassic Park 3. Yeah. And written by Reanimators Stuart Gordon, who also directed From Beyond, and also written by that old son of a bitch, Brian Usna, who gave us movies like The Dentist and Return of the Living Dead Part 3 and Return of the Living Dead 3, not Part 3. And Slam in the Door. He didn't give us Slam in the Door. There's a movie, the two Reanimator sequels. There's one movie that's at the tip of my tongue that I can't. Society! That's what it is. Society. And so they wrote this as a script called Teeny Weenies, which I thought was the name was too childish, so it became like Grounded or something like that. And then just Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, which is a line said in the film. And and there's something to be said. Like, this was in 89. In the 80s, Disney went dark. Like, they had some dark movies, like Return to Oz, which I can see it is not as dark as people say it is. Yes, the Wheelers are something else, but it's not as dark as people say it is. But there were movies like Something Wicked This Way Come and The Watcher in the Woods, which I've seen part of. Something Wicked This Way Comes. We're on a school trip, and they put it on there, and I just remember just being very weirded out by it, but also at the same time not interested. Why is it it's quiet most of the day, and as soon as I decide to start recording, bunch of noise out in the hallway? It's like they know. So anyway, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids tells the story of Zelensky, Wayne Zelensky, played by Rick Moranis, who is trying to perfect his shrink ray, but it keeps heating up too much, and everything he puts underneath explodes. Uh, Meanwhile, and simultaneously, his neighbor, Russell, Russ Thompson? I think it's Thompson. Russ Thompson, played by Matt Frewer, is planning on going on a fishing trip with his two sons, Russ Jr. and Ronald, played by some guy I've never seen before, and that kid from Big, who was the best friend in Big. And so he's preparing to take his kids on a fishing trip, which the older kid, Russ Jr., doesn't want to do, but Ron's all about it. Meanwhile, you have the Zelensky family, and what I like about this movie is it actually tackles serious subjects. Like, beginning of this movie, they talk about, oh, mom stayed at her sister's or her mother's or whatever the night before, because there are problems between her and Wayne because he's focused on his work and not about the family. It's brushed aside pretty quickly, but it's there. Like, you wouldn't say a Disney movie nowadays try to tackle a serious issue like that. And if they did, they put some joke on it, because they seem to think kids can't handle stuff like this. And just to give a little bit of credit to them, kids raised now couldn't. Because kids raised from, say, 2010 on were raised as fucking babies. Because at some point it became illegal to hit your kid, which you should never hit them, but it became illegal to even discipline your child in that way. Whereas when I was a kid, I got spanked if I did something wrong. If I swore, I got soap put in my mouth. Nowadays, they consider that abuse to your child. So you can't do that anymore. So kids are raised up without that firm hand. Even if you yell at them, all it does is push them away more. So kids raised in that environment can't handle stuff like this anymore. And so you have to baby them, because the kids that are raised nowadays are babied, because you can't discipline them like you could back in the day. And I'm in no way condoning violence to kids. I'm in no way condoning spanking your kids, you know. But as someone who went through that, it disciplined me, made me behave, it got the job done. I can't argue with that. You know what I mean? But you're not allowed to do that anymore, so the results are way different. Kids are assholes now because they can't be disciplined. And so, yeah, kids nowadays are babied, so little kids that are babied can't handle some of these, so they gotta be force-fed goofy kid crap. And once in a while, there will be a kids movie that'll come along, like a Zootopia or an Inside Out, that'll, kind of play to that emotion. But most of the time, it's, But movies like Inside Out, where you'll have, look, bing bong, he's dead. Or Zootopia, where, look, funny kids movie, Shakira, But what if the animals act on their instinct, become vicious? They are predators after all. What is the moral question here? See, there is that whole thing where there's some kid movies you just have goofy joke after goofy joke because it's to entertain kids, but there are kids movies, and as much as I did not like the movie, even Buzz Lightyear has that whole thing where he keeps going around and around trying to save this, trying to finish this, and it ends up costing him his best friend. She dies. It is a little more serious. There is some things, but Disney would rather give you goofy stuff or shove propaganda down your throat with the whole, every character has to be anything but white type situation now. You can't have Little Mermaid the way she was back in '89. Nope, she gotta be black. Peter Pan, a little redheaded boy? Nope, Indian. Because, equality. And I'm all for equality, but these timeless characters that we grew up with, stop ruining them for your equality. And by equality, I mean to make money off of them. Okay? I'm just saying. But anyway, back to the movie I'm trying to frickin' review. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Right? That's what we're back at. But this was at a time where, you know, kids were raised in a certain situation where this didn't bother. Like, this was like the least of all of those movies. Like, this didn't bother me. I mean, the idea of being stuck anywhere, you know, stuck being small, where your back lawn, which could be just like this whole block, like their lawn is probably about the size of my kitchen or living room. But when you're small, it's like a forest. And to get through that, that's no. And the effects in this, which I couldn't find who did the effects. I don't think Screaming Mad George did them, but there's some decent effects here. Even for 1989, there's pretty good effects. The acting is a little bit not so good, but, you know, at least from the main kids. But you got, like, Rick Moranis, Marsha Strassman, Matt Frewer, and Christine Sutherland. They're all good as the parents. The kids, though, the one kid that does stand out is the kid from Big. He is funny. And then a couple times, there's, you know, the kid that plays Nicky. He kind of, you know, pops up. You know, okay, there's one time. French class! I get it! French class! That whole thing. But, there's, you know, the one who plays Russ Jr., you miss, and Amy O'Neill is fine, but I feel like there's a reason her role is diminished in the sequel. That scene with her is when she's dancing around the kitchen with the mop. It's a funny scene. It's a funny scene. So what happens is Ron hits the baseball through the window. It lands in the machine, which somehow catches the laser so that it doesn't burn up, and it shrinks the couch, the chair, and then Ron and Russ. And then when the other two go up, they get shrunk. And then in a convoluted way, where it's like we have to make it so that they have to find their way back. Wayne comes home, can't find him. He trashes the machine and sweeps up the mess, also unknowingly sweeping up his kids and the neighbor's kids and putting them in a trash bag. And now they have to traverse the backyard, which is probably the best set work in this film. It looks fantastic. You know, it's great. Stuart Gordon almost directed this, but he was ill, so he couldn't do it. A part of me wants to see that version of the film. That could have been something in the likes of what the scary 80s Disney movies could have brought. That could have been something traumatizing. Whereas here, the idea of being shrunk in a backyard and going through like a forest, giant ants, giant scorpions, bugs. By the way, where do they live? California? In the second one, I live in Nevada, so I don't know. But there's a scorpion in the backyard, in the suburbs. I don't know, but yeah. So once Zelensky realizes that the kids are probably in the backyard, no longer allowed to walk on the backyard, and so that leads to little funny things that can sometimes be a little, oh, we got, you know, stuff in the background. There's a whole scene where you have Mark, what's his name? The guy you've seen in a lot of things, but you don't know his name. He was in this. He was in High School Musical 2. He was the dad in, I want to say, Eddie's $1 Million Cook-Off. I can't remember. I can't see the name. I can't remember the name. Hold on a minute. Mark L. Taylor. Yes, I looked at the High School Musical 2 DVD. Mark L. Taylor. He's been in a bunch of other stuff. And then his wife was in an episode of Drake and Josh where they take care of the baby. And I'm sure I've seen it in other things. That's when I remind her, like, hey, it's that lady from the Drinking Jars episode where they take care of the baby. But, yeah, they show up for a scene. I guess they're supposed to go fishing with them, and, you know, padding is a thing, and that's what this scene is. It's just padding. Like, why is this scene here? Why are we doing this? Just so he can say, hey, I can't go because my wife's having menstrual issues, basically. Problems with her plumbing. That's what it is. You think if your wife's having menstrual issues, you'd want to get out of the house. Just saying. I'm just saying. But yeah, and the whole time this scene's going on, the wife goes, there's a man floating next door. Sure there is, honey. Why is this scene here? It makes no sense to me, but I don't know. We need comedy, I guess. And yeah, that's the whole thing. Is you can't touch the grass, and then of course a predetermined, a scene that was predetermined earlier where Nick was talking with his friend Tommy, where hey, can you come mow the lawn? And then he shows up, but they're in the lawn, and so they get flung out further towards the house. But then because but they still say they're like midway through, and so how are they gonna get to the house? Well, because we gotta finish this movie up, the dog shows up and they ride his fur to the house, and then like an ending I've never really gotten. Nick falls into the cereal that Wayne is eating, and Wayne is eating it, and he scoops up Nick, and the dog bites his leg, which somehow makes him see Nick in the spoon. He's like, "Wait!" It's his magnifying glass. It's Nick. I'm like, how did you even notice he was in there without the magnifying glass? Like, and how did you not react besides "ow" to the dog? He goes, "Ah!" Not, "Why'd you bite me?" But he stops and he's like, "Wait a minute!" Like he just sees something in his cereal spoon. I don't know. We gotta end the movie, and then all of a sudden the other three have gotten onto the table by then, despite the fact that, well, I guess they could have jumped off the dog. I didn't think of that. Yeah, and there's a subplot where they tell the Thompsons about what's going on, and they don't believe them at first, and then they show them the couch and everything, and so yeah, he still hasn't figured out how to stop it from blowing up, and so they say it's the baseball, but I still don't understand how the baseball being in the thing stops the laser. So let's say this is a baseball and not a roll of toilet paper. Do it this way. And it hits the thing. How does the laser that connects through this way isn't hot enough? They say it was too hot and it was blowing up apples and stuff, right? But how does it not blow up the baseball that's in the little way? Because it's the same laser, right? It's going up through and then forward. It's like going, right? So how is it not? What is it doing going through here that's making it hot enough? So you think Wayne's got to realize there's something in the mechanism that's making it too hot. So, but how does the baseball block it? I'm trying to think scientifically here. How does the baseball make it so it's not as hot? It's never really explained. It just says the baseball did it. And then, boom, he's able to say that he shrinks Russ Thompson, Matt Brewer's Russ Thompson, and unshrinks him. And there's a gag where he might be a little bit shorter than he used to. He puts the hat on, it's like bigger than, Then he unshrinks the kids, and they say they're going to have more dinners together. There's a giant turkey, there's a giant dog bone, and then Nikki gets the French class joke. If you don't understand, let me explain it. So, at one point, Amy, the sister, falls into a puddle after the sprinkler system goes off. Russ Jr. jumps in and saves her and gives her mouth to mouth. Later, when they're talking about it, Nick asks, "Where'd you learn to do that?" And he goes, "French class, kid." To which she smiles. He's like, but he doesn't get it until I get it. French class. Because, French kissing. But, schools teach you mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. Or at least they're supposed to. You're supposed to have some kind of, in like a health class or something. You're supposed to. I took my health class when I was a senior. Supposed to take it when you're in 10th grade, but because of my work schedule, because I was doing school to work stuff, I couldn't do it. And so I had to wait till I was a senior. So here I am, 19 years old, bunch of 15-year-olds who would laugh every time I said booby, every time I said breast or vagina. It was horrible. I'm just going, now I'm immature myself, but I was ready to take it seriously. And yes, it is funny when you hear a teacher say breasts or vagina or penis. But, I could take it. But you got a bunch of kids going, this is what I get for having a job. You know what I mean? But it was required, so I had to take it. Health class, which makes more sense. But for the joke, French class is funnier because it makes more sense for the joke, I guess. This movie is pretty good. It's a movie I watched over and over again when I was a kid. On VHS, watched it over and over again. Something I've watched a lot, but not as much, is the sequel, Honey, I Blew Up the Kid. And a movie I've only watched twice is Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves. And you know what? I watched it with my son a couple of years ago on Disney Plus, and it was so short. It was so short that I thought we were in the middle of the movie, and we went up because it was around Christmas time, so I had to go up and talk to my mom about Christmas stuff. And came back down and goes, "It's over." What do you mean it's over? It's over. But we're another halfway through. No, it's only 75 minutes long. 75 minutes. I was looking at the run times. What are the run times for these? This one is 93 minutes. The second one is 89 minutes. And the third one is 75 minutes. So they get shorter. So, Honey, We Shrunk the run times. There was a TV series which I did watch, which aired between 1992, which is where the second one came out. So between the second one and the third one, and they made a third one. I'll kind of explain my connection to both of those in future videos. But for now, what are your thoughts on Honey, I Shrunk the Kids? Then we'll comment below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.